So this is the latest gender critical plot to make the world worse. I feel quite negative about all this stuff. I'm sure that they'll just get this to work. So I think I will... Yeah, anyway, we'll talk about that. But so there's this pond in London, which I've never been to. And it literally does look like a pond. It looks like a very British watercolour of like dark green with bits floating in it. But this is, for some reason, one of the things that the transphobes are absolutely enraged about. And I presume it's because it's in like London and maybe middle class people go there. But this pond has been women only for a long time, and it's always allowed trans people, trans women in particular. And now that they've got the horrific Supreme Court ruling, the gender critical movement is going to look to do the next incremental step. And obviously this is the strategy. It's the same as the anti-abortionists movement. They just throw loads of different court cases out, hundreds and hundreds of them, and then one or two of them will succeed because they'll get lucky, or they get a bad lawyer or a bad defense or a bad judge in most cases. And then as soon as they land, they don't care about the ones they lose. They then try and build on top of those wins they have. And they just do these tiny little incremental steps. And then it gets to the point where they have like a Supreme Court ruling. But now this is the next incremental step. And what they're going to try and do is try and make a legal claim against this pond. And they're going to say, you have to ban trans women or allow cis men. That's going to be their argument. Of course, it is by Sex Matters, which is Mayor Forstater and Helen Joyce and others. They're like the main gender critical organisation in the UK now. There was quite a lot of them for a while. There was like Women's Place UK and Posey Parker's one, whatever that was called, and all of these other like smaller WDI and all this kind of stuff. Sex Matters have kind of risen up to be the main one, and I think it's because they're funded by J.K. Rowling and other right-wing groups. LGB Alliance are probably the second biggest one. I think they're probably both Tufton Street organisations, if that means anything to you. But Sex Matters are like the main one, and so obviously they're doing this like thing. I doubt anyone from Sex Matters has ever gone here. They'll find some claimant of someone who lives nearby who once went, who will say they were terrified because a trans person, or they thought they saw a trans person. So anyway, this says a row at Hampstead Heath ponds over permission for trans women to continue swimming at the ladies' pond could reach the High Court. Probably will. We'll probably lose. The campaign group, the anti-trans hate group, Sex Matters, is making a £50,000 legal claim. This money is just meaningless to them. Like, they have unlimited funds. Against the City of London, which runs the bathing ponds on Hampstead Heath. So, of course, if the City of London Corporation loses, I'm sure they won't bother appealing it because they won't care and they won't want to spend the money. This is an article by The Times, by the way, which is like the main anti-trans newspaper in the UK, worse than the Daily Mail, as bad as the Telegraph, worse than the Guardian, would you believe it? But even they keep muddling up with their propaganda. They've gone here since 2019, trans women who were born biologically male. They haven't gone with who are biologically male, which is the the Sex Matters gender critical propaganda line. It's kind of odd that they've gone for this. But yeah, since 2019, trans women have been able to swim in the ladies' pond under formal guidance, but before that, they were never banned. So they've always been allowed to go there, but then the organisation that runs the pond wrote formal guidance 6 years ago. Critics say, this is like Mayor Forstater says, this is a breach of the law and that biological men, okay, so they're back to the propaganda line, should not have access to women-owned spaces. So this is like very transparently a group of people who don't use the service, who have no real issues, are trying to, who have unlimited money, are trying to find a case where they can harass someone who's trans inclusive and try and remove some of trans people's rights, freedoms, and ability to move in the world. The organisation that runs the pond is strengthening its policy of welcoming trans women to the ladies' pond, and said that it was planning to put up signs to say that trans women could use the pond, changing rooms, and showers. And, like, to be clear, this isn't a naked pond specifically. This is, like, just swimming for women, because you can go there without being harassed by men. So if trans women go there, it doesn't actually affect you at all. If an intersex woman goes there, a lesbian woman goes there, it doesn't affect you. This isn't about that. They might even admit that it doesn't affect them, that this is just about the principle of banning trans people from public. And again, it's against the wishes of the organisation who runs it. But as this article has some bullshit from Mayor Forstater. Mayor Forstater, the chief executive of Sex Matters, says, blah, blah, blah. They weren't amazed. They're lying. Anyway, if you keep scrolling down, you eventually get to a little fact dump at the bottom of the article. And it says, volunteer group, the Ladies' Pond. Last year, in a meeting, the members voted to reject a motion that only those born female in sex can use the pond. So this is the members of this pond. And it was overwhelming. Like, there was a motion, should we be able to ban trans people? And it was, like, hugely rejected. It wasn't even close. And they also say... the ladies' pond is open to all women and girls over the age of 8, and according to lifeguards, trans women have been swimming here for many years without incident. So, deceptive of the times to put it at the bottom, but amazing they even put the facts in at the bottom at all. So I guess well done to the Times. But they, like, this is the core thing. This is like a group that's coming out of nowhere, that isn't involved in this at all, pressuring an organisation which is trans positive, that is, like, visited by a group of people who are overwhelmingly trans positive, and they're trying to mess up their whole situation. Like, lots of the cis women who go to this pond will be friends with trans women too, because when you start going to swimming places and gym and stuff, you end up bumping into people and making friends with them. So this is coming attempting to tear apart the community, remove a safe space for some women, some of the most vulnerable women, trans women, for them to go swimming, just for the principle of hurting trans people and to incrementally remove more and more of our human rights. It's possible we'll win this. It's possible we'll lose this. If we win this, they will appeal it to the Supreme Court, and you know what that means. Obviously, they are attempting to just get a full countrywide ban of trans people in public. That is their final goal. They got the Supreme Court ruling, which removed trans women's protections from sexism from the Equality Act. And then they were hoping that the EHRC would be able to rush out this interim guidance that said, oh, we can just ban trans women from everything now, and trans men from everything now. But that kind of didn't work out. So now they've got to do this consultation, and they'll push out guidance that says the same thing, and then it'll have to be debated in Parliament, blah, 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 blah. There's not a guarantee that will go their way. So they also have to have an alternate route, which is going back to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court rules that you can't include trans women in women's spaces, then it will then become actually illegal to have trans-inclusive anything. Not just trans people are banned, but if you attempt to include trans people, you are breaking the law. That is their goal, obviously. So I don't think you should panic about that, because it's not imminent, but it's definitely their strategy. And I think it's important to be aware of what these hate groups are attempting to do. So you can be clear about it when you're talking to people and explain what's going on. Sex Matters absolutely wants to make it illegal for you to include trans people correctly. If you go on my channel and look back a bit, there was a recent clip of Akua Reindorf of the EHRC saying she believes that trans-inclusive organisations are or should be illegal. Simply it can't work in the law. So that's absolutely what they're trying to do. Right. So what happens if this passes? Well, we're going to have to protest it, aren't we? That's like the only option. And that means just going there. And like, if you live in this area now, it's currently very trans-inclusive. The people who go there are trans-inclusive and the management trans-inclusive. So go and support them. Make it clear that if they do get in a situation where they have to consider appealing this, that they know that they have the support to do so and that they should do so. And if we lose this and they don't appeal it, then it's time to go there all the time and protest it constantly, because it's just completely ridiculous. It's completely unenforceable. It's a very clear violation of human rights. It's just disgusting, really, to try and ban trans people from public. It's unjustifiable. The only way they can do it is like these authoritarian top-down measures where they try and spend a huge amount of money to worm through and get to corrupt people who would just change the law without considering trans people at all. And that's the only way they'll achieve anything. And that is how they're achieving things. Like especially with our current Labour government, just super corrupt. They don't seem to care what people want at all. So, yeah, it's worth being aware of what's going on. Do not panic. You can still go swimming, and you should still go swimming, because staying fit and healthy is very important. If anything, as fascism rises, more important than ever, because you need to be in the best mental health possible that you can in order to survive, and also the best physical health possible in order to survive. That's not me trying to fearmonger, by the way. It is beneficial. If you're not in peak physical and mental health condition, you absolutely can still survive. But obviously, with every thing that is harder for you, it'll compound and it'll be much harder. So, but yeah, just be aware of this stuff. Keep one eye on it and get ready to protest, because we're absolutely going to have to protest, and we will protest, and we will push back, and we will win this back if we lose this particular case.